Welcome to episode 2 of the Sheboygan County Community Connections podcast, or SC3. I'm Tony.
I'm Koki.
Today we're here with the Drug Court Program of Sheboygan County.
I'm Linda, the Treatment Court Coordinator.
I'm Morgan, one of the case managers.
And our special guest is...
Ryan Pieri. I'm a former drug court graduate.
Perfect. So Linda, what can you tell us about Drug Court?
Drug Court is a program for high-risk, high-need individuals who have a severe substance use disorder. It's an alternative to them being sentenced to prison, so they have to have a felony arrest in Sheboygan County. It can be a new arrest or it can be an alternative to revocation. It's a very intensive program with a lot of supervision in hopes that they can turn their lives around and become productive citizens.
It's that structure.
The structure, yeah.
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah, continued structure is certainly something that helps. So, I know from our side of it, we knock on doors and we check and help make sure things are going according to plan. As far as Drug Court goes, how often do you guys meet?
The team meets every Thursday for an hour for a team meeting, and then the participants come to court every Thursday for about an hour. They all are in court every week in front of the judge. It's a 5-phase program, so as they move through the phases, they get more privileges and less court time. Everything is decided by the team, so we have a judge, a district attorney, a public defender, treatment providers, probation and parole. Morgan is case manager. I'm the coordinator. We have someone who helps them get jobs. Am I missing anyone?
No, that's pretty much what I think.
Oh, and the ATI office does our drug testing. They get drug tested. It's random drug tests. They call in every day to let them know if it's their day for a test or not. So every decision that's made is made by the team. It's a program that's run on incentives and sanctions.
So what happens if there's a negative or a positive test?
We don't sanction drug use. We increase treatment, but many times with a positive test, there might be a sanction because they lied about it, or they missed a test, or they broke curfew, or something else that would cause a sanction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more about the behavior after, before the use. That's something that we might have to sanction on, but we don't always necessarily sanction on the actual use. We want to increase their treatment
What
and get
led
the
to
help.
that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So more
Yeah.
based on decision making and making better decisions as you move forward.
Right, what could they have done differently?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, I know our side of it can be a little intrusive for the participant. You know, we knock on a door and after curfew. So while you're at during curfew hours, you could be at work, you could be doing whatever, but it's after curfew that we knock on a door and disturb your family and whoever else may be home. But that accountability is a big part of it as well, not only through the program, but those after hours when maybe those decisions are easier to poorly make. So.
Correct.
Well, Ryan, what's it like being a graduate?
It's great. I mean, I definitely agree with the well-rounded approach towards the treatment program. I mean, everything like they explained really will keep you together, and you're dealing with people that were just no discipline, nothing. We're just wild out there, so it definitely grounds you a lot, and it's a great program. If I want to add on how it feels to be a graduate, it feels great. I mean, nothing's really changed. I'm just working on myself now. I don't even really count my clean time and all that stuff. I've just began to live a responsible lifestyle, I suppose. So I don't really reflect too hard on it. I'm just who I'm supposed to be today. So a couple of years ago, I definitely worked hard on myself. So that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah. Was it like I'm changing my habits, and through the program, habits are one way, drug induced, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden towards the end, because you've made better decisions, it's not even an afterthought to make better decisions. Now it would be a thought where if you're going to make a bad one, you'd have to think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I pretty much came in the program arms open, so it was a lot easier to just accept it and just I was at the end of myself. I was just so tired. I was just sick, tired, and I was ready for change, so it was easier to accept that discipline. And yeah, it was definitely a trial in my life, but it was worth it. So
Ryan, you want to tell them what you owned when you started the program and what you have now?
yeah, I definitely speak that a lot. So I got out of treatment with a backpack full of clothes. You guys know that, a pair of shoes. So I've gained a lot of ground now. Yeah, I'm a homeowner. My vehicles are paid for. Significant amount in a 401k and Roth, and
So you kept your same job then, huh? You stayed with it to get for.
absolutely, yeah. I've been at my employer about five and a half years now.
Awesome.
So
Do you think the drug court program going through that really gave you the discipline to stick with the job? Because I know for myself in recovery it was tough before to keep a job and be consistent, show up, go to work, you know what I mean, and keep it that way. Do you think the going through the program really gave you the structure that you needed to carry on?
well, absolutely, yeah. They work with your employer too. I mean, they're not gonna. They feel that's a key part of recovery as well too, is having a solid grounding of employment. So, I mean, they'll work with you with different jobs. I bounced around shifts, and we had to make the schedule happen. And yeah, I was blessed to always have a solid work ethic. It's just that component of use knocked me down every time. So once I got that out of the way, and I was able to really focus on myself and just pound, I mean, and if you're willing to work, anything can happen. And nothing comes, nothing comes free, and I was just willing to freaking outwork everyone and just grind every single day. So,
Were you setting goals like as they came on, like you're a house owner? I mean, did the program play a part in that, setting your goals and making them laid out like a plan to get there?
yeah, they eventually started to set the bar pretty high for me, because I took off.
You were accomplishing your goals.
Yeah, I was definitely accomplishing them. So I had to go outside that scope of requirements to get what I wanted. Huge appetite for change and really trying to make up for lost time, I suppose, in my head. So I just, I had a child and another one on the way, and there was just only one way to get there. So
Stick at it, yeah.
So do you feel you were motivated by outside factors, or were you motivated by you and what you desired?
there was a little bit of both too. Yeah, it was a little bit of both. I mean, just normal decision making that I would bounce off Linda or the team too. And they're like, I don't know. So I remember I was about to buy like a new truck or something, and then Linda's like, well, you have a child and a kid on the way. So I ended up buying a minivan, a Honda Odyssey.
Nice.
And that was super grounding. And then just little stuff like that you still need, even as a man, you still gotta like bounce ideas off different individuals that have been there,
Absolutely.
So getting that definitely helped. And once I gained like trust from the team too, a couple guys, a few officers,
Yeah.
talked to them a lot, connected with them, so helpful.
Okay.
So, I'm interested, what brought you to the program, and then what is the biggest change that y'all have seen go as you went through the recovery and the process? Yeah, I wanted to see what brought you
What
there.
brought you to the program?
Yeah.
Your charges.
Yeah,
Your
Yeah.
new charges brought you to the program.
Okay.
absolutely.
Gotcha. Nice. And what was the biggest change?
Change for Ryan
Yeah, that y'all
specifically.
seen working with him, like the improvement,
I think Ryan finally stopped trying to do it his way and started to listen and take advice. And, we'd like Ryan, try it our way once. And we're not going to steer you in the wrong direction. Our goal for the team is for everyone to be successful. So if they don't like what we tell them quite often, they'll get angry about it. But if they do it our way, they're successful.
trust you.
Yeah,
It's building
just
that
trust.
A
Yeah,
little humility goes a long way, right?
yeah.
I think when Ryan talks about coming in with like open arms, things like that, I think that's huge. Sometimes it takes some participants longer to be able to kind of surrender to the program and that support. So his willingness to kind of do that from the beginning is really big. But that's when we really start to see changes, is when someone can kind of be like, come in and be like, I'm just open arms, I'm surrendered to this program. I will listen and hopefully take a lot of advice from the support of the team. It does take people sometimes a little bit longer, but once they kind of get to that point, that's when they kind of take off. So it's always amazing to watch when that
So you were
kind of
ready
happens.
when you got there. You were ready to go.
I think Ryan was ready to have his family. He didn't want to lose his children. He's a very good dad, so I think his children were a big motivator.
Nice.
So when people come into the program, many of them don't have a driver's license or a high school diploma. So those are goals they have, and they cannot graduate the program without a job, a high school diploma, and if they qualify for a driver's license, a driver's license.
Oh, okay. Nice. Making that component of moving forward. I like that.
So Morgan, you're a case manager?
Yes.
Okay, so how many cases do you juggle at once, do you say?
So for me, I have a little bit smaller of a caseload because the program that I'm part of treatment court, but I'm part of a comprehensive community services program. So the individuals that come see me do have to be screened in, and so these individuals, they are at a little bit more of a disadvantage, such as probably no housing, no employment. They may have more mental health concerns that are kind of preventing them from moving forward. So in my program, we like to break down a lot of those barriers, and I'm kind of really there to assist them with a whole lot. So at any given time, maybe I have like 10 people on my caseload from treatment court.
Okay.
And my main focus is really I get them connected to our employment specialist so they can start looking for the jobs, build up their resume. And he also helps, like, how do you structure your resume? Because a lot of times individuals coming into the program are bouncing from job to job, have huge gaps due to incarceration. So and he helps, his name's Matt, helps them also with the interview process. How do you explain this stuff in a professional and positive manner to your employer rather than looking at it as all negative as to what's happened? So I'm kind of the middleman to get them connected to him. And then I also help them get connected to our psychiatrists at Human Services, so they're able to get on some of their mental health meds, any meds to help them with their recovery that they need, and really assist them. Even sometimes I help with transportation, getting them to their appointments, doctor's appointments. I picked up a client yesterday who needed to go to the hospital due to some mental health concerns going on, so I was able to pick her up, get her there, get her admitted into the hospital. So I do a lot of the extra little support stuff that's needed with some of the clients.
Okay. So not only do you hold them accountable, you help them to stay accountable.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So Ryan, with your case manager, did you ever feel as though there wasn't enough pressure, or they weren't keeping as close of an eye, or is it just intense enough to keep you honest in where you're going?
Yeah, I mean, my treatment plan was pretty structured out. We met goals at the beginning of each phase and then reviewed them at the end of each phase. And, yeah, they kept the pressure on me, just at, like, not super aggressive and not super passive. So they were on it, and Linda kind of knew when she'll connect with you and everything over time. She'll see what that and talk to the team and see what the heck's really going on. I mean, you can't really get away with much. So it's pretty obvious after a while. And yeah, there was a lot of good stuff going on with that. So
Okay. Do you have any, any other resources that you used outside of drug court? Like Mental Health America or Samaritan Hand or anything like that?
yeah, a couple. I was NA for sure.
Okay.
We can't really talk a whole lot about that, but
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Samaritan's Hand for sure over there.
Yeah.
I went
You went every Friday.
every Friday for a couple of years there, and it just great. I mean,
That's actually where I stopped using
Every-
opiates.
yeah, everybody.
You went every Sunday night too somewhere.
Yeah, at Hope House
Hope House.
over here.
Okay.
So, and then connecting with my higher power too.
Yeah.
In Plymouth, a few places, Christian Life, and
Ryan also has an old boss who's a mentor to Ryan, and Jerry's been very beneficial to you.
absolutely, yeah.
So it's not just, your immediate family or those that everyone knows is trying to encompass, but really community. And there's a lot of different resources we're not sure of. And I mean, I think that's the whole point of this podcast is to bring to light different resources that those successful cases, much as yourself, are able to bring to light because you've used them and you found yourself on the brighter side, if it were.
People can see the success and how they got there.
Right.
I wanted those connections and alignment too. So when I would go to like meetings and stuff, I would listen to what people said and see. I want to see how people became successful in recovery 5-10 years of clean time. I want to see how people built their own business from nothing. I want to see why they're doing what they're doing. So I would reach out and connect and just find out what worked for me. So that was pretty helpful. So I still have friends today that were in recovery and now they're doing big things,
Good.
So
Recovery takes a team. There's so many people. And just walking into the gas station, I come across and we'll get to talking, and people are in recovery. And it's truly inspiring to see people that are successful. 20 years in recovery, 10 years. It's amazing. And to hear your story too, and to be able to bring this out there, I think it's going to make a big impact.
Yeah. Do you have any, if you were to talk to yourself, say 10 years ago, what tips would you say, Ryan, this is what needs to happen? Is that something you ever think about?
no,
No?
you can't really change the past. So I'm just trying to look forward.
Yeah.
Really.
Learn from it, move on, right?
Yeah, just press on, look forward. I mean, I've learned a lot, but I don't know, there's really no talking back to myself back then. It's just about
Sure.
what I can do today.
Okay. What about someone new to the program coming in?
Definitely check it out, and it's way better on this side of the line, dude. It's just a way better life. It's way better. And unfortunately, it takes a severe circumstances for you to want to change, because that's just how the lifestyle is. So, I mean, yeah.
Fair enough. Do you guys have any tips aside from open yourself and come in with open arms?
Well, I think most of the people that are coming in really truly want to make changes and just don't know how. So I think keeping an open mind and trying to do things differently, even if it's uncomfortable or out of their comfort zone, is what is beneficial to helping them be successful.
Sure. Okay. And then As far as your resource goes for families,
Well, we are recently connected with Lighthouse Recovery Center, and on Tuesday evenings, they're doing a free meal, and then every other Tuesday, we're doing a family group after that.
okay.
So, and then, we do some family counseling, individual therapy, our therapists do some family counseling if it's needed or requested.
We have lists of like the Al-Anon meetings that occur in the county as well that families can go to just for that extra support, and kind of learn how to support and not enable their family member or loved one that's kind of going through it, and also help them protect themselves too, and how to make sure that they're still staying healthy and taking care of themselves as well. So we do give those resources out.
And then Rogers here in town has been starting different things with families. So like yesterday at court, a representative from Rogers came to talk to our participants about a program on a Saturday coming up for kids, their kids. So partnering with some of the other places in town is also beneficial for us.
Awesome. Okay. So how would, if someone wanted some resources, do they just pop into Health and Human Services? Do they call?
They can do either.
Okay.
I mean, we have a intake person there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, who takes calls or walk-ins and can give out resources.
Okay, and remind me what the address for that building is?
1011 North 8th Street.
Okay. I go there. I don't look at the address. Barely remember my own sometimes, so. All right, well, is there anything else about the program or any other partners you'd like to mention at this point?
Can you think of any?
Covered quite a few. All right.
Well, we do have the halfway house. We have a sober living home, Sheboygan County Sober Living. Right now, they have two houses. One is being remodeled right now. So normally we would have a men's house and a women's house. They're all together right now, but hopefully in February the remodeling will be done and then they'll split up again.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
But they've been a huge support to our treatment court. They're usually like right when someone comes out of custody or out of residential treatment, right in phase 1, we usually require them to live there for 30 days to 3 months to kind of get that stabilization, find safe and or supportive housing for themselves. And even if someone's struggling, like we just had a gentleman who has been struggling and they were willing to just take him in for a few weeks to get him restabilized and get himself grounded, because it's just a safe place for him to be rather than in his own home at this time. So they've been very, very supportive.
So you mentioned phase 1. Mm-hmm. How does one move on to the next phase?
Each phase is 90 days, so they have to be in the phase 90 days for sure. Each phase has a certain number of days required that they're alcohol and drug free. And then there's different requirements in each phase. So they would apply to phase up, and then as a team we look at how they've been doing. If they've met the requirements, then we approve them phasing up. If they haven't, we'll let them know what they need to do yet in order to phase up.
Okay. And phase 1 is a little more, I don't know if intrusive or hands-on. And then as you move down the line, it gets a little more softer.
More freedoms.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, phase 1 is really, even nationally, they describe it as a stabilization phase. So it's really just looking at their basic needs and what basic needs need to be met. So they can become just the basic essentials that a human needs.
Sure.
Housing, employment, all that kind of stuff, food, making sure that they have access to all that. That's really kind of what we focus on in phase 1. We don't put too much pressure on them, even for employment in phase 1. They have it, great. If they want it, great. But we don't put so much pressure on that. It's more just like the basic needs. Are they met at this time? And then we set goals from that moving forward.
Okay. So break you down before we build you back up.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was great. The some of the housing they gave you, I mean, it's great, really. I mean, everything you could basically need. There's a lot of people that condemned it. You know, I kind of
Embraced it.
heck yeah, because I've been down and out before, and to have nice stuff like that and be grateful for it, it was nice. They eventually started to shuffle me out after a while for
I think the problem, I mean, our goal would be for them to be able to move out after about 3 months if they're doing well, but we can't find landlords to rent to them. So that's a big problem here in Sheboygan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's come up a couple times. I was talking with Pay It Forward and them too.
Mhm.
They're saying that's, I would, yeah, wonder how to help that. And some of us, even myself, I had evictions when I was going through my addiction, and it was tough. I had to
Yeah.
finally find a landlord that was like open-minded and give me a shot.
Yeah, and some of them, it's not even evictions, it's their criminal record. That's,
Yeah.
the landlords don't want to take a chance, or they want a double or triple security deposit, so.
Yeah, and I guess I can see it from both ways.
Mhm.
You spent your life to this point, or at least part of it, being deceptive and making those bad decisions. And now that you're trying to make better decisions, and it's hard to see that change in someone if you don't know them yet,
Right.
and so on. But
The key is though too is like where there's a will, there's a way. You know, you always hear that, and my mentor would always be like, "Hey, if you wanted to find dope, what would you do? You'd find it." So it's like finding that way on the successful path, and that's so true. I mean, you can overcome so much stinking adversity by just going straight at it and constantly like attacking stuff. Like I remember I went into my interview at my employer and I put it all on the line. And like, you know, but I'm just willing to do whatever it takes.
yeah.
That's basically it. So
Something I used to run into quite a bit was, I'd have contact with someone, whether I arrest them or not, and I'd find out really how smart they are. But ultimately, that level of knowledge would go towards, say, a drug business as opposed to a legit business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always if you'd use that knowledge towards the better of society and people, hopefully that turns around at some point. But I think we'll still have quite a bit of people taking advantage of others who are dope sick or just struggling to get illicit drugs and so on.
I actually use that as motivation now. I think about that. I mean, like I go to the gym quite a bit, but if I go to Slack, I'm like, you know something? If it was midnight and I wanted something to feed my addiction, believe I'm gonna do it. It doesn't matter if I'm walking across town, and I'm like, it instantly, like what you were saying, it motivates you because man, I would do that. Man, come on, let's go. You know, and it's just changing that and switching it to drive positive stuff or healthy.
Yeah, and through treatment court, we offer a group through Human Services that every treatment court participant has to go through MRT, and that really focuses kind of on that criminal thinking, those thinking processes to try to, some people get that flip, that switch of their thinking process and how they do things to get it to more of a positive behavior. So that's always a big group that's really good for them to go through. So.
yeah, they'll help you with everything you need to make it happen, even from, like we talked about last time, bus tokens to get here, right, when you first are trying to regain structure, all the way up to, you never know who knows somebody really in the community. It's really small, and I met a couple people just through connections and alignment, and hey, I'm doing this and this, just even little things that will really help you out. You know, there's some strong people in the community behind the program. Like, don't get that wrong. A lot of tenured officers and stuff like that are connected with the chief, that are connected with the judge, that, you know, if they know you're doing what's right, the community, especially with the law enforcement, is pretty stinking strong. So it can definitely lift you up if you're doing what's right. So
I agree with that. I'm learning that myself.
Guy comes in dancing to a lobby, and here we are, just over a year later. So it's kind of crazy, but here we are, and positive thinking, positive connections obviously make things go better for everybody. So
yeah, and another thing too, people need to understand too that it's not like, oh, you take the program and then you're like changed, like, oh, Ryan changed, but we're talking like a decade, 15 years of destruction behind that, and I only have like 5 years of hard work and effort, and so it's like it's totally a process. So any major change like that is going to take time, so people need to get that, you know.
We always say at graduation, like, we're proud of all the progress, but the real journey and the real work starts when they're done and they walk out of those courtroom doors, and they don't lose our support. We're always there for them, but that real work starts kind of when you do graduate that program of what are you gonna, all the tools and resources and things that you've taken from these last 2 years of being in this program, now you really got to implement that starting right after you graduate.
It's funny now, like when I was in AODA 20 years ago, and boot camp and all that stuff, it never would stick back then, but now I use some of those tools that I learned in them. I'll be like, oh, that was at boot camp, that's how I know that, or I'll remember the AODA, so definitely drug court's going to stick with people, I'm sure, and that, oh yeah, I did that there.
Yeah, I mean, a little side story, I worked in a different county through their treatment court, and I remember we ended up having to terminate someone, so kick someone out of the program just due to circumstances and things like that, and he did end up having to serve some time. But he stopped back at my office after he was released and kind of was back out living in the community, and he says, he's like, even though I was terminated and kicked out, he's like, I still use so much things I've learned during our treatment court program. So even, we always have to have a reminder as a team, no matter what, if someone's struggling, things like that, we have to keep going and trying, because little things like that is going to still be impactful to someone 5-10 years down the road. Even if they don't succeed in our moment right now. So it's just huge to remember that as a team, that we do still make those little impacts, whether it's still 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah. How many graduates have we had so far?
Do you remember what the number was?
I don't.
Okay.
I wanted to say around 30.
I think we're probably between 30 and 35
Okay.
right now.
I think so too.
So a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I know there's like a limit to the amount of participants in other counties that have a bigger populace. Do they have more participants? Like, I know we only had like 8 or 10 at one time.
Well, when we started, we could only take up to 15, and
Okay.
then we got more grant money, so we can take up to 25 at one time. So yeah, other counties have, there's different kinds of treatment courts. So ours is an alcohol and drug treatment court, but there are family treatment courts, like with social services, there's mental health treatment courts. So Outagamie County has like 4 or 5 different kinds of treatment courts.
And it all depends on the personnel too. When I worked in the different county, our max was 50, but that's because we had 2 or 3 case managers. We just had more personnel that can handle that kind of caseload. So yeah, it kind of depends county to county, but obviously our goal is to continue to expand and hopefully get more and more people that extra support and help, and offer it to a lot more people during that time. But yeah, right now it's about 25 capped.
Okay. And you guys have a donation process for the participants as well, correct?
Correct. We give them like gift cards or different things for incentives. So we can't really use grant money, and we don't really want to use county funding money for that. So we do appreciate various businesses. If like the car wash donates car washes sometimes, or Culver's has donated free meals. So any donations are really appreciated. Like haircuts, they come out of treatment and they haven't had a haircut in months and months. Things that they don't really have money for themselves. So it's nice when they can get an incentive like that they really benefit. Bowling, a lot of them like to go bowling. We had golfing donated at one time.
And we have a little incentive store at the ATI office where every time someone makes an appointment or does something really good, they get a little ticket, and then there's items in that store that are priced per ticket and things like that. So it's always good to kind of get some of those donations. Some of those like laundry soap, detergent,
Cat food, dog food.
Little things like that they can maybe save a little bit of money by.
Children's toys that they can get for their
Do you guys
children.
ever talk to Sheboygan Discount Warehouse?
I don't,
We have not.
I
no.
don't
They
know.
donate a lot of stuff, like exactly what you said, to my booth.
Mm.
So definitely I would reach out to them. Or I
I
can,
think that's Austin's uncle.
Steve, Falk, Steve and Erica.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea because you like to keep that store pretty stocked and
Yeah.
with good items.
Or even like right now, gloves. And we have, yesterday I gave a girl 2 pairs of gloves because they come in and they're freezing and they don't have hat, they don't have gloves. One man didn't have a winter coat. The ATI office was able to find him a coat. So different things like that.
Forward. Because I just toured there yesterday, and they have tons of coats and tons of hats and tons.
Yeah,
of
we
all-
can. Yeah, we send people over there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we have some of the things for inmates that are getting out
Mhm.
and don't have shoes or whatever. We'll use old boots that are still relatively good shape, but we just don't use or someone donated and so on. Similar process. So. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. And we've been the Sheboygan County Community Connections, episode 2, here with Health and Human Services and the Drug Court Program and Ryan Peary. I've been Tony.
And I'm Koki. Sheboygan County Community Connection.
We'll play with that one. All right. Thank you.
That's why I waited to the end.
Smart.